Hello and welcome to the paper discussion on the June 2018 matric paper. This is from 2018 and you can tell that it still has the original 180 marks at 3 hours, which was a mark a minute. Obviously the paper you can be expecting this year will be a 150 mark in that same 3-hour period. The same formalities will greet you at the beginning of the paper: not to leave out any questions, to save your work at regular intervals, and to read your questions carefully before trying to answer or solve the problem, not doing more than is required, that you won't need to print, and that type of thing. I'm going to dive into question 1, which was based on the one club letter file. So they ask us to locate the graphic on the first page, this is 1.1, and change it so that it appears as follows, as the screenshot over here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the data file, one club letter, opening it up, and here we have the picture. You can see that they have applied a picture border to it, which is why it has cropped it the way it has. So all that you need to do is go to picture format, and you can either reset the picture or I'm going to go with reset the picture. It's just the simplest, but one of those other border formats would also have, or removing the frame effect would have also removed it. But the easiest obviously is just to remove the border. So that was 1 mark. 1.2 says locate the comment under the heading background on page 3 and carry out the instructions contained in this comment. And so we're looking for a comment on page 3. There it is. Convert the end note to a footnote, then remove this comment. Okay, so it's important to note what a end note looks like. So if you go to the document and write to the end, that's exactly what an end note would do. It throws the explanatory bit on that thing, which is DOS in this sense, disk operating system, and it will put it at the end of the document, whereas a footnote will put it at the foot of that particular page. And so what we're going to do is, you can actually do it from here as well. You can right click on it, and all that you need to do is go down the menu and convert it to footnote. Okay, so we've converted the endnote to footnote, and then it's asked me to remove this comment. And so you can either select it and push the delete key, or if you go to the review tab, you can also delete the comment from here. Both work. There you go, the comment has now been removed. So that was for 2 marks. 1.3 says locate the citation at the end of the first paragraph. So I'm in paragraph 1. That is not a citation, that's an index. Here we go, here's the citation. And we need to change the citation so that it appears as follows. So there's obviously a spelling error in the author's name, and it doesn't need to display the date. So there are 2 things we need to do. You'll see there's a citation option button here that you can click on. We're going to edit the citation as a start, and it's going to think about the meaning of life. It's opened on this page. I'm going to suppress the year so that you can see it no longer shows the no date, and I'm also going to edit the source. Once again opened up on the wrong screen, and I'm going to go and tell it to say O'Toole with 2 O's. Now when I accept that change to my source, it then spells it correctly. Okay, track changes. Here you can see in my left margin there's a red line which shows that they've made use of track changes here. You can navigate between them by going previous and next. Okay, there is only this one, and they've asked me to accept it under new venue and new look. I assume, yeah, that's this paragraph, new venue, new look. Put your insertion point here and you're going to accept that change. Cool, that's 1 mark there. 1.5, it asks you to locate the paragraph under the heading aims. Here it is. They want this to appear like this in that paragraph. You can see off the bat that what's going to be required is putting it into a text box. Now you can make use of a text box, you can make use of a shape. Whatever you do use, you're going to have to remove the fill and the border. The easiest, I think, will be making use of a text box. So select a simple text box there. I delete that text inside, and you can actually just select, click and drag the text into the text box. It's going to be twisted sideways. We're going to change the wrapping options of this text box so that it goes tight around it. You can see it's looking more and more like the example in the question paper. Last thing I need to do is click on shape format, go to outline, and say no outline. Probably make this one a smidge smaller. You'll notice it looks very much the same. So it appears more or less. So it's not an exact science. If meeting doesn't jump up at the top there, that's also fine. Cool. We then need to locate the table under the heading program. Here it is. They say this is the program for July to August. That does look correct. And we need to edit the table so it appears as the screenshot. Okay. So in the screenshot, you'll notice it doesn't have planning in one cell for the August, but it actually stretches over the whole from the top of July down to the 20th of September. So what I need to do before I can do that, because it doesn't extend all the way to the top here, is I need to take this cell here and I need to split it to that to those four first. And so I'm going to do that as a start off. I'm going to go to layout. I'm going to click on split cells. No columns, but many rows. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing there. So I don't want more columns, but I do want more rows. So that's what I've opted for there. Click OK. And now I'm going to grab those four over there and merge those across there. The next thing I need to do is change the text direction so that it's running up. The text, as I can see in my example, is also centered. And the next thing that I noted is that I think this text was auto-fit to content, so I'm going to do that. Yep, looks more like the example. And then this top one didn't have its border. Okay, so what I need to do there is click on the table design, and I'm going to get rid of the top border, and I'm going to get rid of the left border. See, no top and left border. That stretches across all of that. Text is running up and planning is in the center, and the whole thing is smushed onto all the contents, and so that's auto-fit to contents. Cool. In fact, it actually says it in the instructions. This is why it's important to read your questions. Auto-fit the table to its contents. Cool. They then say locate the text in red under the heading Community Courses, and to then format the text so that it appears as follows. Do not change any colors. Then there'll be that one cell that does. Okay. This is why it's so important to ensure that your show height button is activated when you work in Word and that your ruler is activated, because I can see right here that we're making use of tab stops. There's a center tab stop there, there's a right tab stop there, and another right tab stop there. Fortunately, no leader lines for us to play with, but that wouldn't complicate things too terribly much. So I grab those ones there. I'm going to click on more paragraphing options over there. This dialog box opens, and I'm going to click on the tabs control button. And if I look at my screenshot on my exam paper, the start date one is the first one. That's the center tab at 5.5 centimeters. So I'm going to type in that 5.5 centimeters. No leader line. Set. Oh, doesn't like my comma, so make use of the decimal point in the keypad rather. There we go. Cost is set at 9.5 centimeters. 9.5. And this is now a right tab stop set. And then finally there's one at 13 centimeters, which is also a right tab stop set. Click OK. And we're good to go. So all that I need to do is add an additional tab there. 14 social networking. Oh, I know what's wrong. No, I don't need to add an additional tab. Look at my ruler. So there's my one at 5.5. There's my one at 9.5. There's my one at 13. Spot the troublemaker. That one at 4 centimeters. And if I look at my question paper, there's nothing at 4 centimeters. So all that I need to do is go up to my ruler, select those where I've set the tab stop, grab that 4 centimeter and drag it down. And ta-da! Perfect. Okay. Locate the word colorful under the heading year end function. Wasn't hard to find, they've even highlighted it for me. Ensure that this word will be indicated as an error. In other words, they currently have it with UK English, with American English, and they want us to ensure that this one will be red underlined as a spelling error. So the spelling, they don't want it US English anyway. So what we do is we click on our review tab at the top, click on language, set proofing language. There you can see our troublemaker, it's set to United States. I want to make it South African English, and if I double click on that, you'll notice it now is red underlined as a spelling error. Okay, that was one mark. 1.9, locate the table heading under the table under the heading bring in cell, change the spacing between the cells to 0.3 centimeters. Okay, let's start with that first bullet, and then we'll look at inserting a formula in the bottom right cell that calculates 20% of the total. Here's the table, bring in cell. They first want to ensure that there's cell spacing. This is a layout problem, and if I go to cell margins, that's this one over here. It opens up this dialog box, and I want to allow spacing between the cells, and they said at 0.3. Sorry, goodness. And I click OK. And basically it does exactly what it does in HTML when you put cell padding in. Okay. Then I need a formula in the bottom. Layout. Formula. I want to add up everything above, yes, but I only want to do 20% of the total, because that's payable to the CCC, whoever they are. Okay, so I'm going to use that function back to my formula where it sums everything above, but I'm going to take that and I'm going to multiply it by 20%. You can multiply it by 0.2 or 20. Shift percent should work as well. So that's going to be 20% of 850, which is 170. That looks right. And here's what they say the completed table should look like. Cell padding changed, sum above, second mark, third mark, multiplying it by 20%. Locate the table under the heading Office Speed Quiz and do the following. Ensure that if the table is split over 2 pages, that the column headings will be repeated on the second page. Right, let's do that first thing first. Here's Speed Quiz. Yeah, you can see it has in fact split over 2 pages. So let's select that table. And I'm going to ask it to, don't know if you guys can see this, so let me zoom in. It's under the layout, table layout, repeat header rows. Okay. So now, if I go over a second page, which it's not doing at the moment, but it will just now, that heading will repeat. Okay, I need to put data in here, but specific data. They've asked me to replace the question marks with the relevant details, the name, time, and score of members who scored 75 or more in an Excel test. And I'm going to need to use the document 1 test results. Here we go. Here's one test results, but you'll notice that these ones aren't just people who have scored 75 or more, it's people that have less than that as well. So first things first, select the data in here. You can either just click on the cross, or you can be that person that clicks and drags. I'm going to go to layout, I'm going to sort it. It's over here in the ribbon. Click on that one, and I'm sorting it according to score. From smallest to largest, that will work. Ascending, because that means I'm going to have a cutoff point over here. But before I'm ready to copy this, you'll notice they wanted the name, time, and score, not this correct column. If you don't want to delete it, which I think you could, but if you don't want to, you can put your insertion point in this last column where I have now. Click on insert right, and then you can actually just select this, and then click and drag it into the end. You can see now it's sitting at the end of this table, and then all that I need to do is when I select my data, I'm only picking off this data here. I can then copy it and move it back into my Word document over here. And if I've done my job correctly, it shouldn't do more than what's required here. Okay. This has been set to repeat header rows. Yeah, it has. Cool. Next thing's next. That's for 4 marks, because you had to sort, you had to get rid of a column, and you had to copy it across, and you had to set your column headings to repeat, so that's fine. Locate the word survey under the heading quarterly newsletter. Okay, you can also just do a search for it. Here we go. This is under quarterly newsletter. Yep, that's the one. They ask me, this must be hyperlinked to the text new members on the last page of the document. Okay, last page of the document has new members. Here it is. So first things first is I need to grab this and I need to insert a bookmark. So I go insert, bookmark, and I'm going to save this bookmark as new underscore members. Remember, when creating a bookmark, I'm pretty sure you cannot do a space. Yeah, it doesn't accept it. There we go, it's now been bookmarked. So now when I go back up to survey, over here, I can insert a hyperlink to that bookmark. So I select the word again, go to insert, link, insert a link, place in this document, and here's a list of my bookmarks, and I'm going to go to the one I've just created that you'll see in that list, new members. So right now, if I had to click and select that, it will jump down to new members over here. Okay. I need to in 1.12, I need to locate the multi-leveled list under the heading contributions. Here it is. And I need to format it so that it appears as follows. So this is the changing of a multi-leveled list, which is often found in the Word section of your paper. Can't get away from it. So they've got the Roman numerals, but you'll notice that their Roman numerals don't have the brackets like that. This one is incorrect because it's not a subsection, so let's select this list quickly and fix that. Right, there it is. I select it, I click on Home tab, go to multi-leveled list, I say define new multi-leveled list. Level 1 is fine, level 2. I'm happy with the Roman numerals, but under the formatting I don't want the brackets, so I get rid of the bracket before and after. For my level 2, level 1 is a capital Roman numeral, level 2 is a lowercase Roman numeral, and it's got no brackets. I click OK. So that's looking good. Problems still at the bottom here, under hardware for donation and hardware for recycling, and that's simply putting your insertion point in there and pushing tab to bump it up to the next level of the multi-leveled list. Cool. 1.13, locate the heading closing. Okay, so let's have a look at that one quickly. Closing, there it is. They want me in that one to, goodness, I've got too many documents open now. Close that one for a start. There we go. Use a paragraph option to ensure that this heading will always remain on the same page as the paragraph just below it. Cool. So they want to make sure that these two are friends, basically. Put your insertion point on closing. Go to my more paragraph options here at the top. When this opens, I click on the line and paragraph breaks tab, and I'm going to say keep with next. So what that does is ensures that it will always be with that paragraph. Locate the heading closing, that one, that was one mark. Locate the placeholder, insert a bibliography there. This is 1.14. Insert an automatically generated bibliography in place of this in the Chicago style. References tab. Currently the style is set on APA, so I need to click on that drop down menu, set it to Chicago, bibliography, and insert a bibliography. Then we need to find the automatically generated index at the bottom. Change the index so that it appears as follows, like this. The entry of Bill Gates must not be in the index when the index is updated. Page numbers of your index might not correspond exactly with the page numbers in the screenshot. Okay, that's just as a side note. Okay, so I'm going to go to my index. Bill Gates is part of that one, so I need to okay, so I'm going to go to the Bill Gates item in the index on page 3. There he is. I'm going to select that item. Now that won't be visible to you unless you have your show hide button on. So you need to ensure that that's on. I'm going to delete that entry. Okay. I'm going to go down to the bottom to my index again, and I'm going to update it. Bill Gates is no longer there, and I'm also going to right click on this field, and I'm going to edit the field. Once I've edited it, I'm going to edit the index, and instead of 2 columns, I'm going to toggle it to 1 column. So now when you look at the example one, I can bring up the question paper again. You'll notice it is 1 column and Bill Gates is no longer part of that either. 2 marks. Okay, locate the text box under the heading New Members. That text box there. Insert the file one interest into the text box as an icon. Okay, so an icon is something, it's an object that we insert, and they've kind of given it away as to what menu item we use for this. We click on the insert menu. We're going to go to object. I'm not creating a new one, I'm creating from file, browse. It's on my desktop under create 12 June data. It's the interests one, and I'm inserting it as a display as icon. Okay, there it is. And so if I double click on that, it will actually open up the interest document because it's an icon inside that document. Okay, locate the form fields next to the following headings and change them. First one we're doing, this is 1.17, main device. Ensure that the option laptop appears first. Right click on it, properties. Laptop needs to be first, so you select it. Once you've selected it, all that you do is move it up in the queue. Click OK. You can see laptop now appears first. They also want me to change the size of the checkbox to half its current size. Well, I need to know what its current size is. So I select it, I right click on it, go to properties again. It's currently 20 points. So if I go there and I make it 10 points, it will be half of its current size. Okay, they ask me to change the styles used in the document as follows. Change the scale of the character spacing of CC1 style to 120%. Modifying the styles, you go to Home menus, there's CC1, you right click on it, modify. Wanting to modify the spacing of the font, so I click on Format Font, brings up this menu, I click on Advance, and they want it to be 120% scaling. Character spacing, there it is, scale. I want to set that to 120%, so let me just type that in. Click OK. I'm also modifying this also in 1.18, change all instances of the heading 3 style to CC3 style. Okay, so they've utilized heading style 3 and they're wanting to make it CC3. Quickest way to select them all is please don't go and look for that style every time they've used it in the document. Right click on it, say select all. You can see parking, and some of the other ones have been selected. And once they've been selected, you just click on CC3, and now they've been converted to that style. Right, 1.19, looking at the table of contents at the top of the document. Here it is, table of figures. Here's table of contents, or this is a placeholder for it. They say please put the table of contents in, and it must look like this. The heading looks like main headings only. There are 6 entries in the table of contents. I think this is only based on the CC1 style. They've made use of the leader line and the page numbers are right aligned. Let's have a look and see. Okay, so I highlight the placeholder because that's where I'm going to put it in. Click on the references tab, table of contents. I'm just going to go with a normal one, right? And you see, whoa, way too much. Definitely not what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. So I'm going to go to table of contents, custom table of contents, and I'm going to modify which styles are used. No, is that under options? My bad, it's under options. I'm not going to use, okay, I don't have to change it. They've already changed it to CC1, CC2, CC3. That's if they had by mistake set it to heading style 1, heading style 2, heading style 3. But they've already made it the styles that they've created. So they haven't been ugly there, but they do want me to only have those 6 entries, which are the main headings. So when they hear by this bit where it says show 3 levels, I'm going to use the spinner and change it down to show 1 level. Click OK. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just looking. There are 6 entries in the table of contents, but my 6 entries aren't the same as theirs. I don't know if there was somewhere where I was supposed to change heading style, because background is one of, actually just want to see something. Now you see this is set to normal. I'm wondering if we want us to edit that as well. Okay, check it out. This is what the paper wants: background, club meetings, special projects, and all of that. And obviously mine has got 6 entries. Club meetings is one of them. Special projects is one of them. Inaugural meetings is. General, yes. Closing is. Bibliography is not. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to make background a CC1 style. Step 1. I'm going to go down to my bibliography, which should be at the bottom. There it is. And I'm going to say no. Let's make it normal. Doesn't want to accept that. You know what? I don't even need this heading. There we go. Let's leave it at that. If I go and update my table of contents now, let's see if it works. Update entire table. That is better. Background, club meetings, special projects and functions, all the way down to closing. Cool. They then say locate the table of figures on page 2. It's not on page 2. Oh, no, it is on page 2. My bad. Okay, and they say ensure the table of figures is updated. The second entry in the table will appear as follows. Figure 2 gamepad. Update entire table. Nope. There's a problem here. So let's go and add a caption for the gamepad. So there's figure 1, bound by common interest. There it is. So I need to give it a caption in order for it to reflect in the table of figures. Select it, references, insert caption, and I call it gamepad. Click OK. I should be able to now go to my table of contents, so my table of figures, and update the field. And there you can see gamepad as well. Cool. And that brings us to the end of question 1, which is a total of 50 marks. Right, looking at question 2 of the 2018 paper, I'm going to go ahead and open up the file. This is based in Microsoft Excel. It looks like this. First thing that they asked me there in question 2.1 is to change the orientation of the text in cell A16 to 0 degrees, and that's for 1 mark. I'm going to move my question paper to the side there, and then zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. So this is the text over here, and A16 has actually been merged all the way to A33. They want me to change the text direction of that to 0 degrees. So text direction happens in the alignment section of your home tab. You click over here, you go to format cell. 0 degrees is not down there, that's -90. 0 degrees is over there. It's actually just horizontally aligned. You can also use the spinner. Click OK, and that's what the text should look like on the side there. 2.1.2, let me just put this on page width so you can see. Format cells B3 to E5 so that they appear as follows. So you'll notice that this text is 23- the name of the month. This is all center line that is wrapped, so let's have a look there. So that was in the courses worksheet. Oh yeah, I neglected to mention that before. Do make sure, so we had to open the 2 courses Excel workbook, but please do make sure that you're in the correct worksheet when you're working through the question paper as well. Okay, so B3 is this one over here. So at the moment, obviously the text is not formatted the correct way. So we select those cells, we go up to the top here to custom number formatting. I'm happy for the day being a double digit because I wanted to say 01 for October, but the month I want the name to be in full, so I add those 2 additional M's. Click OK, and now you'll notice that my month is out in full like that. This over here is currently in euros. This should be formatted as rands, so we click on the drop down over here and say rands. More than that, I don't want it accounting format. I don't want the zeros there. So I'm going to set it to currency, but then, no, sorry, I'm going to leave it on rands at accounting, but I am going to just remove the decimal places. Am I going to do, no, I'm not, because if you look at the example here, you notice the R is right against it, which is currency format. It's not accounting. Accounting puts the R to the left side, it left aligns it and puts the digits right aligned. So I actually am going to take these cells here. I'm going to go to more number formats. I'm going to say currency, but when I'm in currency, I'm going to specify that it's Rand South African, which it's doing at the moment. There you can see it's now formatted the way I want it to be. This over here, I need to wrap that text to make it appear like the example. So there you can see that's been wrapped. Dates appear the way they should. Currency the way they should. 1, 2, 3 marks there. Right, 2.2. The number of places still available per course are stored in cells B8 to E8. So here are the number of places that are still available. And the number of bookings already made per course are in cells B11 to E13. So from there to there shows the number of bookings that have been made for these various courses. So these are for the SOC, TCH, Word, and Excel training courses. So these are the numbers that are still available. And you'll notice we need to now determine and they say insert a formula, not a function. So this is something that I can use to work out myself. The maximum number of course members that the Excel advanced course can still accommodate. Now, if you look here, 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 8 is 13, plus that 1 is 14, and that's the max number of course. So if I take the 2, 6, 10, and that 2 over there, it will give me the max number of courses or members that I can take. So I'm going to start with a sum, and I'm going to sum the cell range over there. They did ask me to use a formula, so I'm just going to say plus whatever is in that cell there. And you can see the maximum number is 20. So if you look carefully at what I've done there, I've used a sum function to add up this blue cell range, and I added onto that red one there. Okay, that's good. That was for 2 marks. Change the formatting of cells B8 to E8. B8 to E8. So that a cell is shaded automatically with any color if there are still places available for the course. If no places are available for a course, the cell must not be shaded. In other words, it has to be greater than 0. Makes sense? So that's the only one that's not going to be shaded. This is a formatting that's based on a certain condition, in other words, conditional formatting. I select the cell range that I want the conditional formatting to apply to. I then go up to the ribbon, click on conditional formatting. I'm going to just use a highlight function, greater than what. I'm going to say just if it's greater than 0, click OK. And they don't specify what shading to use. There you can see all my cells that have space available will be shaded in a color. Right, they asked me to locate the chart on the courses worksheet, which I've done, and we're going to make a couple of changes to that for 5 marks. First thing they ask me to do is remove the vertical axis. So this one over here, they don't want that. You can simply select it and click delete on your keyboard, or you click on the plus sign, and by axes you go to more, and by primary vertical you deselect it there. So either works. You can undo that and just show you the other way. Select it and you push the delete button on your keyboard just next to your return key, and that also gets rid of it. Okay, so that's the first step. Add the vertical axis title, course members. At the moment there's no title there. I only want to add a vertical axis title. So I click plus, axis titles, but I don't select for both. I simply select the arrow on the side and say I only want the primary vertical. I can then triple click in there to select all the data, and then I'm going to type course members in there, and there you go. The next thing they want me to do is display the legend below the chart. And so for that, I'm going to select chart again, plus, go to legend, but more than that, click and say I want to display it below. Right, looking good so far. They want me to remove the image in the chart. So I select the chart plot area, right click, format plot area, there by the image. So under full, it is under full. I go to the paint bucket, go to full, picture full, I say no full, and it removes the image. One last thing that I need to do, ensure that all the columns have data labels. Some of them don't. You'll notice the blue one does for community, the grey one does for learner, but the orange one does not. So simply select that one on the chart, click on the more options, go to data labels and say you want it to be on the outside end. And now if you look carefully, it's got all those elements as my question paper has asked for. Course members, data labels on the outside ends for each of those, no picture in the back, y-axis is deleted, and legend at the bottom. And that was the 5 marks that was required there. Right, 2.4. Those registered for the Excel Advanced course did a timed practical test. The start time of the test is stored in B15. So that's when all the tests started for all of these participants. And the time taken in minutes by each person to finish the test is stored in cell C16 to C35. So this is how long it took them. Change the function in cell D16 so that it calculates the time at which Chillin MC finished his test. So in other words, I'm taking this time here when he started and adding additional 47 minutes, in order to determine what his finishing time is. Okay, so let's use this time function, which they already have here. So that's all good. So I'm going to take time and I'm going to add in hour. Sorry for this, I'm going to have to zoom out while I do it. Hour, open brackets. Which hour am I using? I'm using the hour from there. Close brackets. I'm not adding anything to the hour. Then I go to the next step, and now I'm going to minute. Minute from what? I'm taking the minute from there as well. And at this point, I'm ready to change it. I'm going to add to that. I'm going to add an additional C16 amount with 0 seconds. Hit enter, and there you can see if he started at 9:30 and it took him 47 minutes, he finished this test at 10:17. So let me quickly zoom into my formula so you can see what I did again. So the hour from the start, where the start test at 9:30 was, the B15, hour from there, the minute from there, plus the additional time he took, which was in minutes, which was in C16. Seconds, I'm not worried about, so I just leave a 0 value there. So I took the B15 amount for the hour, the 30 from the B15, plus the outside there, the C16 amount, which gave you the total of 10:17. And there you can see what it does there. Right, so that was a function with time. The score for each person, this is 2.4.2, obtained for the test, takes into account the number of correct answers, which is in column E, over here, the time taken, which is this one over here, and is calculated according to the following formula. So their score is 100 times the correct answers squared divided by the time taken. So we have to change the function in F17 to determine Chokwe's score. So let's have a look. So they've done the 100 times E17, but remember it was E17 squared, the correct answer squared. So what I need to do now is over here, not a function we use often, but do the power function power function to what power? To the power of 2. So 100 times E17 to the power of 2, because remember it was 100 times correct answer squared divided by the time taken. Now I'm going to use an extra set of brackets, and I'm going to put all of this in brackets like that. Go right to the end, and once it's worked that out, I'm going to divide that entire number that it comes up with by the time taken, which is that one over there, which will give me a score of 21.1. And that was for 2 marks. So basically I think that was mostly just knowing to divide it by a certain amount and knowing to use the power function for 2 marks. 2.5 says insert a function in cell K18 to determine the third highest score. Round the answer up to the nearest whole number. Okay, so in K18, that's over here. We want the third highest, and remember, if we want the highest or lowest, we use a max or min function, but if we want the second or third highest, we use a large. If we want the second or third lowest, we use a small. So I'm going to use the top 3 scores, and so that's going to be a large function. Large, you open brackets, you then select your cell array, which is all the numbers you're searching through to determine from that range, and then the K value is what position are you looking for. If you're looking for the highest, it will be 1. If you're looking for the second highest, 2, but in this instance we're looking for the third highest, which will be comma 3, close brackets, and there you can see it comes up with a 133.33. So third highest score, which makes sense because the highest was 148, second highest 137, and third highest at 133.33. Do they mention anything about rounding down? Yes, they say round the answer up to the nearest whole number. So it's not enough just to decrease the decimal value, that's not actually rounding it. So I need to take that entire large function and put a round around it. A round function, remember, it looks like that. They asked me to just round it to the nearest whole number, so we're not rounding up, rounding down, or trunking, we're just rounding, and so I'm going to the nearest whole number, so comma 0, close brackets, and return, and there you can see it comes up with 133. So the number I'm interested in is the third highest, which was that large function there, and then I use the round formula to round it off to the nearest whole number, which is that comma 0 over there. Okay. So that was for 5 marks because of the round function as well as the large function incorporated into it. Ensure that if the worksheet is printed, it will be printed on A4 size paper and without grid lines. Okay, so this is still for the courses worksheet. So for the print settings, you go to page layout, paper size, you click on that one, same as you would in Word, and you go down and you make your paper size A4. And you don't want to print grid lines, so right now you're viewing them, viewing headings, print, you deselect that checkbox to ensure that it does not print them. And those were 2 changes you made there, A4 and not printing the grid lines for 2.6, and so that will give you your 2 marks there. Now we're going to work in the planning worksheet, and this is what it looks like. The worksheet is currently blank. Good, I'm glad, because I was a little worried there for a while. 2.7, open the Word document to future courses. Copy the table in the Word document to the planning worksheet in the 2 courses spreadsheet as an icon. Okay, so I'm not copying it into the planning worksheet, I'm putting it in as an icon. Okay, cool. Let's have a look. So I'm going to go and find the 2 planning document in my exam folder. It's in 2 future courses. It looks like this. I'm going to select this entire table. It's been selected now. I'm going to click on copy, or you can use the keyboard shortcut Control-C. I'm going to go to this worksheet, and I'm going to paste it here, home, and I'm pasting it, paste special, and I'm going to paste a link, but I'm pasting it as an icon. I click OK, and there you can see it's dumped in there. So if I double click on that one, it actually launches the Word document, which is what they're asking for. Cool. It must be pasted in such a way that if any changes are made, it will reflect there, and that's basically what happened when I selected that paste link option. If you just paste it like that, there's no link, and then any changes that are made will not reflect in here. Whereas if you say paste link, which is what I did when I clicked on the second radio button and displays icon, it will put the icon in as well as update with the changes as well. Right, now we're going to go to the bookings worksheet. This is 2.8 now. Remove the comment from cell J2, 2.8. So if we go to J2, you'll notice there's a comment there. You right click on it and you're going to say delete note. What does the note say anyway? Yeah, amount ready paid. That's nice for them. You right click and you say delete note, and you'll notice that now that paid has now no longer got that note there. That was one mark. 2.9, they ask me to insert a function into cell Q4. So I'm going to Q4 over there. To calculate the total number of places still available for all the courses. The number of places still available per course are saved in cells B8 to E8. So in other words, B surely can't be B8 to E8. Am I in the, yes, bookings worksheet, that's fine. The total number of, this is why it makes perfect sense to read your question properly. Okay, so what they said here was the number of places still available per course are stored in B8 to E8 in the courses worksheet. So if I go back to the courses worksheet, there you can see B8 through to E8. So what this is actually testing you is to make sure you know how to run a sum function on numbers stored in another worksheet. So it's simply going here, put your insertion point in where you want the answer to go. You're going to say equals sum, because remember we're adding up the total number of places still available. You open your parentheses, you then go to the courses worksheet, select that cell range, close your parentheses. You'll notice that it's identified this as a different worksheet that you're adding up. It's in the courses worksheet B8 to E8. You hit the return key, and then you can see there are 10 places still available on all courses. So that was for 2 marks. It was basically running a simple sum function, but a sum on a value in another worksheet. Right, 2.10, members' dates of birth are stored in column B. I saw that. Insert a function into cell C5 to determine the year in which Jacob M was born. In other words, I only want to extract from Jacob M when he was born, the year, in other words. This one's going to be a toughie, a joke. So all that we need to do here, I'm just going to zoom in for you a little bit more, is you're going to say equals year, open brackets, and then you're going to select that cell range there, and then it basically pulls out the year from that date, 1974, and that's really all that we want there. Right, in 2.11, change the formula in cell D6 over here, so that the formula gives the age of Milan C on his birthday in 2018. So I want it automatically to determine how old he will be in 2018. So for this one, I'm going to use the year he was born there and subtract it from the year in 2018. So Just wondering if it's actually simpler than that. And just say 2018 minus, it's already been extracted, C6. Yep, even easier. They've already extracted the year. I was going to go back to his date of birth in order to, but it's already got it, 1968, and so I'm taking 2018 and subtracting C6, which is 1968. It's only 1 mark, so that actually does make sense. Right, the codes of the courses for which the members are registered are stored in column G. All of these ones here. Complete the H lookup, so they even tell me what function to use. In cell H7 to determine the cost of the course for which Satege P is registered. The function must work correctly if it is copied to other cells in this column. In other words, it needs to be something that you can autofill. A table showing the course codes and the cost for each course is stored in the courses worksheet. So if you go to the courses worksheet and you look over here, you can see there are all the courses and what they cost. And so I want to, in the bookings worksheet, automatically show the cost for this course that he's doing over here, and here's the course code. Okay, so they've started it for me. Equals H lookup. I just need to get rid of that @ sign, go to the end, open brackets, what's my lookup value? That WRD, comma, where is it looking? I go all the way back to the courses worksheet. I'm telling it needs to look over here. Remember, don't include headings. I'm going to scroll down as far as cost is concerned, and I'm going to fix that table array, absolute cell reference it, so that I can autofill it later. Right, comma. When it finds the WRD in here, which row is it going to use? Not the first row, not the second, not the third, but the fourth, which shows the cost. So comma 4, is it looking up for an approximate match or an exact match? There's nothing approximate about a course code. It's either the course code or it's not. So I'm going to say false. And there you go. In fact, it does it for me automatically. I see it. There we go. It's just a little bit more correct. So it's looking for that code in that table. Once it's found it, it automatically determines the course cost there. Right. The next one I'm going to be looking at is 2.13. A person receives 20% discount on the cost of the course if he or she is a club member. So I want to determine or is older than 65. So if they're over 65 years of age or they're a club member, they will get discount. So there are 2 variables here. And if they are a club member or over 65 years of age, they get 20% discount on the cost. If they're not, then the cell must just display a 0. Okay, so in this case, yes, they're a club member. This guy, he's a club member and over 65. I'm trying to see if there's a value. Yeah, 67, also club member. Well, that doesn't really matter. Okay, so I've got 2 things that I'm testing it according to. There are 2 conditions. So I'm going to use an if statement here. Equals if that one is equal to the word yes, then I want you to take H8, which is where his cost for the course is, and multiply it by either 0.2 or 20%, like that. And if it's not, I want you to go test it one more time and see if that, his age in other words, is greater than, did it say equal to? No, older than, is greater than 65. If it is, I also want you to take H8 and I want you to multiply it by 20%. And finally, if it's not, I just want you to give a 0 value because there's no discount for you. Close brackets and back to black. And there you can see it's taking the 140 and multiplying it by 20%, which gives you the 28 Rand, because indeed this person is a club member, even though they are not older than 65. And that was for six marks, because it's a nested if statement. Right, 2.14, each member is allocated a student code, which is made up as follows. The first three letters of the surname in uppercase specifically, so they do specify that. So you check there that is, like for Mashiane is MAS, so they want to do something similar for Chokwe. First three letters of their surname in uppercase followed by a hyphen, in other words that's a compulsory value, and the first letter of the member's first name. So that's fairly simple. So they've helped you already. They said it's concatenate, in other words they're adding text strings. They're taking A9, but we don't want all the text in A9, we only want the first three. So I say left which text, that one, comma, 3, followed by a compulsory dash, and then they got the mid of A911. That's not right. That one I need to ensure that it finds the comma, because that's the common denominator between all of those. So mid of A9, start number I'm going to say is a find. Find what? Find the comma, sorry, in quotation marks, within the text that, and you're only taking one letter. Let's see. Nope, that throws out the comma. So I'm going to take that and add one to it. There we go. Okay, so let me walk you through what I've done. I just need to go and fix my left. And so I'm going to take all of that and put that in uppercase. There we go. Chokwe is now in uppercase. Right, that's for 6 marks, so it's not a cakewalk, but it's not impossible either. We all understand what the concatenate does. Concatenate adds various text strings to each other. So it's adding this bit, let me just highlight it for you. It's adding all of that to that to this. Sorry, it keeps jumping every time I've selected something. Okay, so this one's fairly simple. I'm taking the first 3 letters of their surname, because each of these things starts with their surname, and I'm making sure that's in uppercase. This is the same for everyone. I just wanted to give me a hyphen, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. They want the first letter of their name, but you'll notice everyone's name is in a different place. But all the things that they have in common is that they have a comma. So what I did here is I used a mid function, because it's going to take it from the middle of that text string. It's going to take it from A9, but where does it know where to start? And this is why I used the find. I said find the comma in that text string in A9, add 1 because I don't want it to take the comma, and then you're only taking 1 letter, and that's how it took the C from, the R from Chokwe's name over there. And that's using a mid function to come up with that student code, which is capital CHO with the R for Chokwe's first name, which I don't know what it is, because that's just the letter there for now. Right, and that brings us to the end of that Excel question, question 2. Question 3 is the database question in the 2018 paper, and I know many people are inclined to shy away from it, but really one can garner a couple of really easy marks here, specifically in the first part of the question, which just asks you to change a few properties for the fields in the Access database. So 3.1.1 through to 3.1.7 does exactly that. So let's go ahead and open up the 3-club Access database. First thing that I do once I've opened it is enable the content, just to say I trust the macros and things that have been incorporated in this. Once again, going to just move my question paper across to the left-hand screen so I can demonstrate over here. So in 3.1, they ask me to make the following changes to the speakers table. They always do this in order to allow you to make any mistakes to this one that doesn't actually impact on the data for the rest of the questions. And so you'll notice that this table is quite sparsely populated in terms of records. So in the speakers table, we open it up, and I can tell you now from the get-go, you're going to toggle straight to design view. And in design view, we can make a few changes here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is they say change a property of the date ID field at the top there, so that the user has to enter a value in this field. And so you're going to select that field at the top there. You simply click with your insertion point there, or you click on the side to select the entire column for that field, or sorry, row for that field. And then we go down to the properties here at the bottom, and here by required, we're going to toggle that value to, instead of no, we're going to say yes. So there by the required field at the bottom, we're going to say yes. 3.1.2, change a property of the speaker field so that the user cannot enter more than 25 characters. So by speaker, select it again. Once again, you click with your insertion point there, and then by field size, currently it's set to 15. I want to make that 25. So I change that value to 25. Then change the data type of the photo field so that the field can be used to store a digital image. This is by photo. Now, there are two possible data types you can utilize here. You're either going to make it OLE, or you can make it attachment. Both of those will be acceptable, and that allows you to put in a picture. My preference obviously is attachment, but OLE works as well. And that's for 1 mark. 3.1.4, change the property of the distance field. So here by distance, so that the user cannot enter a value less than 3 or greater than 30 in this field. Less than 3 or greater than 30. Cannot be less than 3 or greater. In fact, they've already got the validation text there. So I'm going to just use the text here in this function. I'm going to say between. So I'm going to say use between 3 and 30. And that validation rule there will be the same as using greater than or equal to 3 and less than and equal to 30. So between 3 and 30. Right. Change the properties of the claim field so that the field is displayed as follows when a new record is added. So what they want here is they want a checkbox, and they want it to be, by default, they want it to be checked. And this is on the claim field. So I select the claim field. It's this one over here. Go to lookup. At the moment it's a combo box, so you're going to select that, the drop down, and say no, I want it to be a checkbox. You then go back to general. Default value at the moment is no, so you're going to go to that, and you're going to type in yes. So then by default, the claim will be yes. In other words, checked. A code for each meeting is made up as follows: 3 compulsory letters, of which only the first is in the uppercase, followed by 2 compulsory digits, followed by a single letter, which is optional. And they actually do give you the input mask sheet at the end of your paper as well. So if you toggle to the end, they say 3 compulsory letters. Letter A to Z is required, so it's going to be L's, of which the first one has to be uppercase. Causes all characters to be converted to uppercase. Followed by 3 compulsory digits. Digits 0 to 9, entry required. digit or space entry not required 9. Okay, so I'm going to use the zeros there. So here's my code. Uppercase instead of the A, I'm going to use L. So uppercase L, L, L. 3 digits. So I'm interested in the last one being, so I'm just going to quickly go back to that question. Yeah. Okay, so 3 digits, 3 letters, 2 digits, and then an optional single letter. Optional single letter is not a number as I thought it was. This is letter or digit, letter, optional, question mark. And so right at the end here, you can go and put in a question mark. So that allows them to put an optional extra letter in. Right, and that was all that is required for the code. The next thing we're doing, 3.1.7, is edit the single record. Okay, so now we can toggle back to datasheet view. Obviously, because we've made so many changes in design view, it is going to prompt me with this dialog box and say you have to save it. I'm like, yes, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. And now I'm going to enter the single record, copying the full contents of the text file 3 forensic to the description field of this record. Oh, this is under the description field. So, sorry, back to design view. Description, it's this one over here. And they want it to be in here. Okay, can tell you off the bat what they've done here. They are basically messing with you because it's going to be super long and this needs to then be changed to long text. And so yes, to make those changes, if I go back to description field and I go and fetch that text in 3 forensic, yep, that would have been much longer than short text. Control C to copy, go into description, Control V to paste, and there it's added all of the text. And so yeah, we had to change the type. So 1 for copying and 2 for changing the type it is. You can then save and close this. Do remember to save changes made throughout. 3.2, important language here is create. So this query doesn't exist, I'm making it. This one's open and modify. Okay, so this first one is to create. Add the following fields to the query: member, phone, level, and interest, and it's based on this table here. Let's go ahead and do that. So I click on the create menu at the top there. When I create a query, I do it in query design view. Once here, I'm basing it, the tables is on the side here. This is 2019, so it gets me a little bit confused. Okay, so I'm utilizing the club members one, so I'm going to say add selected tables. Here's the list of possible fields I can utilize, and so for this one I'm using member, phone, level, and interest. Add a criteria to display only those members who indicated that they have an interest in any Excel related courses. The query must only show members who are experts, the level field. Now, they didn't tell you to put this in, but we're obviously going to need it. Oh, they did. I just forgot to put it in. Okay, so let me do that first. This one should have been level. This one should have been interest. And then they specified to me not to display the interest. But I'm going to leave it open for now because I want to make sure it's working before I deselect the show field. Okay, let's start with the first criteria. They say indicate members who have indicated that they have an interest in Excel related courses. So if I run this, you're going to see under the course interest, there's a whole bunch of text here. And in some of them, there's mention of Excel, modeling with Excel, let's see where else it throws Excel. But basically, Excel is contained somewhere in this text string under interest. And so in order to extract that by interest under criteria, I'm going to say quotation marks. I'm going to use a wildcard, which is the same as the times one used in functions, and then I'm going to say Excel, and I'm going to use a wildcard at the end as well, just to ensure that if it has it anywhere in there, and I'm going to run it. So yeah, you can see Excel, Excel, quizzes in Excel, modeling with Excel, Excel for accounting. So basically it's anywhere it finds Excel inside of that, because I put the wildcard at the beginning and at the end, it will then spit that back out for me. Okay. The query must only show members who are experts. So those ones under level. I'm going to type there expert and run. And there you can see only the experts are coming back, and the interests field must not be displayed. And so if I go back here and check that text box off there, you can show it's got all of those people that are interested in Excel, but it's not actually showing their interest field. Now I'm ready to save it. At the moment it's query 1, much like when you do a new document, and so I need to right click on it and save it in order to give it a sensible name. So they want it to be query 3_2, QRY 3_2, and then you can close just to keep your workspace open, and that's for 5 marks. Right, we're then going to open the query 3_3, and this one we will be modifying. So this is an existing query. The query must show all records of members who were younger than 21 when they joined the club. Age joined. So under age joined, I'm looking for all the people that were younger than 21. Less than 21. So those are all the peeps that were younger than 21 when they joined. That's great. The query must also show all records of members whose main device is a smartphone, irrespective of the age at which they are joined. So in other words, overwrite this that determines that they must be younger than 21 if they have got a smartphone. So to do that, I do not put it on the same criteria line. I go to the bottom here under the OR field and I type in smartphone there. And remember, because it's text, I put in quotation marks, run it, and so now you're going to see that for some of them, let me just check if I'm doing this right, smartphone under their main device. Yeah, it would work if I actually spelled smartphone correctly. So there's a T required there. And yeah, there, I mean, that guy's 66. That one's 44. Way over 21, but they do have smartphones, and so that was what was required. And then you can save and close that query. 3.4 is query 3.4. I'm going to open that one up. For this one, they asked me to add the field's phone and group. At the moment it's got admin, member, when they joined. So I go to the design field. You can click on the side here, click on the fields that I'm interested are phone and group. So phone over there and group under more info, utilizing two different tables, more info and club members that are related. Related databases. They say add a new calculated field called renewal to show the membership renewal date for the members. The membership renewal date is exactly 1 year, in other words 365 days after a member joined the club. And so I know they joined it over there, right? So there's when they joined. And I want to see when their renewal date would be. And I want this new field to be called renewal. So I'm going to say renewal, like that. A colon is important here because that's what it's going to call the field. And then the existing field that I use, remember I use square brackets here. So I'm going to say take when they joined. And spelling is important. Take when they joined. And I want you to add 365 days to that. And let's run it. And so yeah, this person joined in the 2nd of Feb 2018, so their renewal would have been the 2nd of Feb 2019, which would have been exactly 1 year later. Right, happy with that one. We then save and close it. Last query, last question for queries is 3.5. Open up query 3.5. We're going to modify this one. They say they want a count of the group field, using the group field to calculate how many community members, how many parents, and how many learners. Now, using the group setting in datasheet view has different implications than using it in design view. So if you go to home and you go, I think, under more options, no, that's not there. And you activate the totals, here it is, sorry, here. It will total at the bottom there, okay? But if you go to design view and you activate the totals, it brings up the group by option. So I'm grouping it by group, but I'm going to add group again, because once it's grouped it according to group, in other words, learners, parents, and community, I also want it then to go and count. So in the first one it's grouping it, in the second it's counting how many are in that particular group. So if I run that one, you can see there my community members, 28 of them, learners 10, and parents are 17. So that's all that's required for that question. And it looks exactly the same as what they want me to do in the question paper. Cool. 3.6 is to open the form 3.6. So let me close this one quickly. There's the form 3.6. They say move the control for the admin field from the header section to the footer. Move the control for the admin field. Okay, let's go to design view. So I'm changing my view here and going to design. There it is, admin. They don't want it to be in the form header, they want it to be in the form footer. So I go to the bottom, click and drag to make a little bit of space here. And I'm going to control exit, click on the form footer and control V. Control X, remember cut, and control V is paste. Now my form footer, that was the first mark there. Change the property of the joined field so that it has a date picker. So there under joined, that's going to use a date, but then I want to use a date picker to determine that. So I right click on that field, go to properties, and then by format, by date picker, at the moment it says never. Let me zoom in there so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to toggle that one to 4 dates. Sorry, I actually accidentally changed that. So I'm going to say 4 dates. There we go. So you select the field that you're changing it like that. Right click on it, you go to properties, and then over here you would just change that to 4 dates. So now if I go back to form view and I click on joined, you can see there's a date picker on the side that I can click on and select the date that they joined. Cool. So that's 2. The third one, change the text box control for the level field, what level they are at, to a combo box. So let's go back to design view, level. You simply right click on it. You say change to combo box. The 3 values from which the user must be able to choose are stored in the levels table. Aha. Okay, so I need something that where it's going to be able to pick from which levels they're going to be, like proficient, what. And so I right click on that. I go to properties again. And then here I click on data, and the control, where they're getting those different levels from, is going to be from the data source. Yeah, I'm going to say go and find it from the levels table. 3 values are stored in the levels table, yeah. Okay. And so then, no, it's not working correctly. I didn't select the right table. Let's go back to design view, format, I was so sure row source was here. Here we go. In which table though? Levels. Okay. Close. Let's see if that works. There we go. No, it's got novice now. Design view, levels, right click. Properties, control source. Source. Here we go. Row source. There we go. Bringing it from the levels table. Back there. There we go. Okay. So forgive the mistake there, but it's that field. Row source, in other words, where is it pulling the different levels you can select from, and then you click on the drop down and you select the levels table where it's pulling it in from. Okay, only mild panic there as I didn't know what I was doing, but that should be fine now. That's for 4 marks. Close, save. Finally, for 6 marks, report 3.7, which we're going to modify. First things first, they want us to remove the alternate shading, and so one can do that in either layout view or in design view. So you go to your formatting, and you select one of the alternate row colors. You have an alternate row color, and you either make it white or you say no color, and so now you can notice that the alternate row color has been removed. So I'm going to undo that quickly just so you can see it again. Right now it does nothing for you until you select the row, one of the example rows where the alternate row color has been applied, and then you click on the drop down and say no color, and now it's been removed. So that was the first step there. Ensure that records of members who are learners do not appear in the report. Let me go back to view and go to design view. They say ensure that records of members who are learners do not appear in the report. And I give you a tip. First, modify the fees query on which this report is based. So this report is generated on the fees query. So if I go back to the fees one and I go to design view, under group, I think that's where it was. Yeah, there under group, I can say not quotation mark learner. Run that. So now we've got all the parents and community members. I can then save and close that, which is what I'm going to do. Let me just save it. So now when I run my report, you can see that communities there, parents there, but there will be no learners. So all the learner reports have basically been removed. Right, then they ask me to add a function to calculate the total fees paid by each group, parent and community. Use the label fees for group and format the field as currency. So they want this to based on the totals paid by each group. Total for community, total for parent. This I'm going to do in design view. It's already been grouped according to what they're a member of, but I need to add a footer section, so with the footer section. Here it's now got a group footer. I'm going to add the content control box with a text box, like that. They want this to say fees for group, so I'm going to type in fees for group here, and then here by the how many, I'm just going to do equals sum, and I'm going to put in a wildcard there because it can literally just add in, oh no, specifically the fees. So I'm going to say sum of the fees group. So the field is called fee, and there's a fees for group. If I run that, let me quickly just do that, and then we can see what it looks like. And then the last thing I need to do is just change that to a currency. So if I go back to design view, select that field, right click on it and say properties, brings up this on the side here, and then by format I'm going to select currency. So now when I toggle back to report view, you can see there's the currency. Mine is incorrect because it's been set to dollars. I would just make sure my regional settings on my computer are in Rand, and that will be perfect. In question 4, we're looking at the HTML, and for this one we're going to be utilizing the for intranet document. Also note that your HTML tag sheet will be attached at the end of the question paper, and you can use that obviously for reference when putting in the script into your editor. In this case we're going to be utilizing Notepad++. So the document we need for this is for intranet, so I right click on it, I open with, and I click on Notepad++, and then I also just double click on intranet to open it in my Google Chrome as well, and then going to side by side them. So there you can see I've got an example of what it looks like, and I've got the script editor over here in order to determine that what I do is correct between saving and refreshing that. Okay, they give me an example of what the final web page should look like. It's going to have this text in red with a horizontal rule there, this picture inserted, probably cropped as well, square bullets in there, a heading paragraph here, a table, which is a grade 12 skill, so they'll definitely include that as well, and then a hyperlink at the bottom there. Okay, 4.1 has us doing the following, and they very sweetly put in the comment tags to show you where to answer each of these. Please don't do more than what is required by the paper. They asked me to change the font of the text to Arial and the color to red of this Community Computer Club. So the font tag's already been inserted for us, so all that we need to do is change the font, not type, font face, quotation marks, to Arial, and the font color, and remember to spell color American way to make it work. Once you've done that, I'm just going to close these other ones I edited before, save and refresh, and there you can see it is now in Arial and the font color is red. They asked me to add a horizontal line with a thickness of 2 just below Text Community Computer Club, so they wanted, I don't know, somewhere over here perhaps. So I can put my insertion point here, horizontal rule, close, and let's just make sure that that works first. Save and refresh. There's my horizontal rule. No, sorry, that's not the right place. They want that just above the heading. So I'm going to move it up there, just before that all new CCC is launching. Save and refresh. Yeah, that's better. But they also tell me that they want its thickness to be 2. So I'm going to see if we can do size equals 2. Let's see if that works. Save and refresh. That does nothing. Let's try height. Save and refresh. Also nothing. So if that is the case, then we troubleshoot it, and it's going to be size and quotation marks. That should actually work. Size equals 2. And that goes in that tag as well. Save, refresh, and I'm happy with that. Okay, 4.2, the image for laptop is supposed to be displayed, but there are problems. I can see off the bat exactly what it is. It seems the file name is right, but they've left off the file extension. If I go to the exam folder and look at the picture, there it is for laptop, so the name is perfect, but this one is a portable network graphic PNG. So I just need to add that file extension at the end, like that, save and refresh. There is something going on between I'm just going to open this up again just to make sure I've got that going for intranet. There we go. And I'm just going to open this again in Notepad++ because it seems somewhere between the one and the other. Okay, so there's my PNG. The other problem with this is the SRC, so this should say source, not source. Save and refresh. There's my picture. The other thing that I need to do here, according to my exam paper, image cannot be displayed. Oh, they want me to put text in. So if this picture doesn't display, like for example, if I get rid of that again, they want me to put text in so that it shows what should have been where that broken image is. And so I'm going to go just before this closing tag here, and I'm going to put in alt text. And the alt text that they want displayed is laptop. I'm going to save and refresh, and there you can see what your picture should have been. It should have been laptop. And so if I change it back to PNG, it will then display. Save, refresh, and there's my picture the way it should be. Alright, they then ask me to locate the text. This is 4.3, new members, new program. That says see below under the image, and they want that to actually appear under the image instead of next to. So what I need to do here is actually just put in a paragraph tag, and it should actually bump it down. So if I go here and put in a paragraph tag and go to the end and close the paragraph tag, remembering every box I open is one that I close, save and refresh, it pushes that new members, new program below the image over there. Right, 4.3 asks me to locate the text below that. New members and new program, and they would like that to be bulleted. So I'm actually going to change this paragraph tag entirely and make it a unordered list. So UL, go to the end, close my UL tag, and then obviously for each item in it, I'm going to put in a list item tag. No, you don't have to hit the return key and put it on a new line as I've just done. I just do it to keep my list items and the various things included in my bulleted list ordered. So there's li, close li over here. And then obviously there's just one other thing we're going to need to do in a bit, and that is to make it square bullets, because when I save and I refresh here, you'll notice that those are round bullets, and so we want to make them square. So you go into this opening tag over here and you say type equals open quotation marks square, save and refresh, and then you can see I've now got square instead of round bullets. Right, so that's sorted. Probably 1 mark for adding the UL tag, closing UL tag, putting each of them in the list item tag, and then changing the type to square. So quite a hefty one there for 5 marks. 4.4 asks me to locate the word learners under the heading we've come a long way. Okay, that wasn't too hard to do. Modify the HTML code so that only the word learners is formatted as italics. Okay, so we've come a long way. Oh, this is under 4.4. So right now it's bleeding. Okay, so it's basically running that italics all the way to the end, and the reason it's doing that is because there was no closing tag. So there's the opening italics tag. So all that we need to do there is actually just insert a closing italics tag like that. Save and refresh, and there's my opening. Oh, what have I done? I've put in a list item instead of an... sorry, there we go. You can see. As soon as you have a closing tag and it's got a friend, it will actually highlight in purple as it's done there. And there you can see my learners is the only word italicized there, and that's for 1 mark. They want me to edit the table in 4.5, so it appears as follows. Program, that's going to be a col span. I can see that already. We're going to probably change the border thickness. Nothing else that I can notice right off the bat, but let's have a look at the script and see what needs doing there. Okay, so there's my table. I've got 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, that's fine. But row 1, I've only got 1 table data because this one actually needs a col span put in it, which is going to span it over 2 columns. Col span equals 2. Save it, refresh it, and there you can see it jumps over the top there. More than that, it isn't actually a table data, it's a table heading. So I'm going to change that to a TH tag. You can see they've already included the closing TH tag. Save and refresh, and now you can see it automatically centers it as well as bolds it. So it's in the middle, it's bolded. They then say set the distance between the text in the cells and the cell borders to 5 pixels, and that's got to do with cell padding, not cell spacing. So in my opening table tag, I go and put in cell padding there, and I'm going to set that to 5 points. I can then save and refresh it, and then all that does is put the space between the text and the edge of the table a little bit bigger. Okay, and that, if you guys look carefully, has basically replicated what they were asking for in the question paper. Right, locate the text here in the last sentence on the web page. Hyperlink this to the text to the file for member list. The name of the file is provided in a comment for your convenience. So they're not even going to ask me to go and find the right one. So here it is, 4.6. I'm going to do it on this here word over here, and then I'm going to go and put in the opening tag. They've already, once again, given me the closing tag, which was very sweet of them. It's an href, hyperlink reference equals open quotation marks, and I'm just going to go and copy that in the comment, and I'm going to paste it with Control V and close my quotation marks and save it. Let's see if that hyperlink works now. It does indeed. So a href or hyperlink reference equals the name of the file which they gave me in the comment here, so I just copied and pasted it here, and then that's that done. And that's for 2 marks. The last one, 4.7, for 2 marks as well. They asked me to locate the asterisks, the stars in other words, at the bottom of the web page. And they said add HTML code so that these are centered across the bottom. So I need to, sorry, I minimized that by mistake. So I need to insert some HTML script that will allow the stars to be centered across the bottom. And so I'm going to put the paragraph tag in there so that I can actually start manipulating it. So there's my opening and closing P tags. And then in the opening one, so I'm going to go back to the start. I'm going to put an align tag in there and tell it to please center it. And here when I refresh it, you'll notice those asterisks then display in the middle. And that brings me to the end of question 4. Question 5 is the last question in the paper, and usually in this question, it's an integrated question in which they bring various elements from all the packages. Usually your forms question will be thrown in this one. They'll also have your mail merge and that type of thing. So just general editing and manipulating the info of the document, such as changing the author or ensuring there's compatibility between documents or increasing accessibility. So those are those slightly more advanced word features that they bring in. So for this one, they want us to open the document 5 invitation. We're going to remove the gutter margin as a start. And so let's go and open up that and have a look at what needs to be done there. Okay, so here is 5 invitation. They asked me to get rid of the gutter margins, so I'm going to go to layout, margins, custom margins, and the first thing that needs doing there is, so under margins, you'll then go to custom margins. Here you can see the gutter margins, and then I'm going to actually just toggle that to 0 because I don't want a gutter margin. The vertical alignment of this page needs to be centered. In other words, I want this text automatically to be centered on the page. So if you go to page setup and you go to more options, you can go to layout. At the moment, your vertical alignment, it's automatically aligning everything to the top. So in this dialog box, I click on the drop down and I'm going to just say I want it centered. So that automatically chucks, if I zoom out for you, it automatically chucks everything into the middle of the page rather than having a top bias, which most documents have by default. So that's fine. The scale of the watermark in this is set to automatic. And so in the next question here, they ask me to change the scale of the watermark so that it fits inside the page borders, because at the moment you can see this watermark is going over the page. And so if I go to insert and I go under design, you go to the end here, watermark, under custom watermark, here you can see what the picture's watermark currently is, but if you set it to automatic, it should automatically scale it so that it actually fits inside the documents. And so now you can see this image actually does in the watermarks, which is what is required by that question. 5.1.4, they say locate the text print date. And it seems I am not finding it. Oh, it's in the footer. I read the rest of your question. Okay, right. So there's print date in the footer. Replace the text with a field that indicates the date on which the document was last printed. And so I select that. I'm going to put in a document info. I'm going to put in a field, specifically one that shows when it was printed. And so if I look under date and time, I can see there's one called print date in there, and then I can say what format they want it in, and they specify here to do the full day's name followed by the date, the month in full, and the year in full. And so I don't have to do this the coding. You could, but it's already here. So it's Wednesday 08 June 2022, and there you can see 4 Ds, 2 Ds separated by a comma, the month in full, and then the year in full there as well. And because this is inserted as a field, when I click on it, you can see it it automatically will update because it's linked to when you actually print it. They ask me to change a setting of the existing page border so that is printed. So at the moment that it's not, so what we need to do is go to layout, go to page setup, and here you see the problem that I have is how far it is from the edge. So they've put in a page border here. So what I need to do in the footer is actually decrease that amount. Or no, sorry, increase it, because now it's pushed it below. So back to page setup, sorry, margins, custom margins, and here by my footer, I want to actually increase that value so it's further from the edge of the page. I'm hoping, yeah, that one fixes it. And there you can see it actually now puts it visible in the footer of the document. It probably didn't have to be that much because it's actually moving into my page. So if I were being pedantic, which it seems I now am, I think if you set this to 0, nope, that throws it all the way at the bottom. Last try. 1.25, so I'm going to go with 1.5 in. In fact, I'm just going to type it in because 2 was obviously too much. It doesn't like my comma. It's looking for a decimal place. There we go. There we go. And that looks fine. It's in the footer and it's also within the border, so it's not being cut off by that. Right, and that I think is all that they asked for us from 5.1.4. So now we're looking at 5.1.5, and so for this, we can save and close this. We're using the document 5mail source. 5mail source, and please do, much like I've just done now, go and open the document so you can see how it's formatted. And so here you can see all the data in it, but important to note is that the first row contains headings, because remember there's something we can select in order to ensure that. Right, they ask us to locate the placeholders member and interest highlighted in yellow. So I'm going to go to my 5 invitation doc. Is it in there that we're doing the mail merge? Yeah, there it is. 5 invitation doc, and we're going to mail merge in there. So you click on the mailings tab at the top. We're going to start a mail merge. We're not doing labels or envelopes, so the default is to go with letters. We're not typing it, so we select a recipient list and say use an existing list. We can then navigate to where it's saved on the desktop under 5mail source. Click open, and this is where it's fairly important to have opened it. So I know that it's in sheet 1, and I also know that the first row of data contains column headers. So I click OK. And now they want us to replace this with merge fields that correspond, ensure that only records where members are not on the mailing list are included. Okay, so I need to edit my recipient list. Here, I'm going to deselect all. They're on the mailing list, so I'm looking for the people that said no, they're not on the mailing list. And so I click on the filter here, say no, then I select those ones only. And I click OK. Now I can go put in my merge field, select that placeholder, and I'm going to insert merge field, and this one that I'm looking for here is member interest. I select that placeholder, insert merge field, and here I'm going to put in interest. So hit the return key so it's on its own line. At this point you can save, just to keep your merge template correct. And then our next step is to actually finish the merge and save it according to the instructions as 5merge in your exam folder. Okay, so I go to finish and merge, edit individual documents. You're going to see it automatically creates a new document called letter 1. And there you see. It's created on the other page. There's letter 1, and so they've asked me to specifically save this in my folder as 5_merge, and there we go, save it. And if we had done this correctly, there should have been 17 pages, and that is correct. If you look at the bottom here, it's 1 of 17. Cool. That's 5.1.1 through to 5.1.4. The mail merge was 5.1.5. Okay, we're now going to go and open up the next document, which is what we're going to be utilizing, 5 Prev Learners database, this one over here. Enable your content. Let's have a look at the table. There's nothing there at the moment. They say here, a survey was conducted with previous learners who took CAT or IT as a subject to see if they were interested in joining the club. Open the 5 Prev Learners database and append or add the contents of the 5 survey results spreadsheet to the existing alumni table in the database. So right now it has not been added. So what I need to do here is I click on the 1, 2, 3, 4th from the top menu, external data. I'm pulling this in from Excel. They said it was from a spreadsheet. In fact, let me stop right there. Let's go and open it and have a look first. 5 survey results. Okay, there's only one spreadsheet, so that helps me as well. And then, yeah, there it is again. Those will be the name of the fields as well. Okay, let's go back. Right, coming from Excel, I go and browse to where it is, desktop, data, and this was from the 5 survey results. There we go. Import data with formatting and layout. No, that's fine. Click OK. I do not want to save the import steps. Let's have a look. No, wait, let's have a look. Export. No, this is exporting external data. I want to bring it in. Sorry, I clicked on entirely the wrong area. Okay, so this is if you're exporting. So you go to new source, from file, from Excel, my bad, and we're importing this. We're actually appending it. We're adding it to an existing table. We're going to add it to the alumni table. We're going to go and fetch it from 5 survey results, and I click OK. Do you want to save the changes? Yes. Okay, now it's time for us to make sure it's got everything we need. There's surname, first name, interest, and cat IT. Go next. Next, import to the table alumni, finish, close. So if I go look here, here's my alumni table. It now has the ID field, surname, first name, interest, and whether they're doing cat or IT. They say provide the user of the database with an interface called edit recs that will allow him to edit the records by showing only one record at a time. So what they're surreptitiously asking for there is actually a form, because it's easier for the other person to be able to edit that. Okay, so that's simply going to the create tab. I'm going to use the form wizard. I want to utilize all of the ones they say below. So in other words, surname, first name, interest, and cat ID. Surname, first name, interest, and cat ID. So I say next. Columnar is fine, and here I'm going to be calling it edit recs for editing records. Click finish, and there you can see my form has been created. There's no other editing that they asked me to do, so I can close that. They then say use the information in the 5 survey results spreadsheet or in the alumni table from the previous question to answer the questions numbered below. Type only the answer to the questions in the feedback document. Okay, so I'm just answering based on what I've found to be true. So 5 feedback, this one over here. And yeah, the answers I'm going to put in. The number of previous learners who took IT as a subject who took part in the survey. So if I go back here, and I deselect all, and I say IT, there I can see I've got 38 records. So I'm just running a simple filter in the table view. Number of previous learners who took CAT as a subject who are interested in joining the club. Okay, so 2 things there. Can remove that. Took CAT, and they ticked yes to the club. Sorry, not IT, my bad, CAT, that are interested in joining. And we've got 62 records there. Yes, you could actually do this in Excel as well. Mine just so happens to be in Access, and I feel it's easier to quickly filter through data there. Right, 5.2.4 says insert in the space provided, i.e. here, a chart that shows the percentages of previous learners who are interested versus not interested in joining the club. And a chart, your friend there is going to be a Excel spreadsheet. So if I go to 5 survey results, and I'm going to generate a chart. First, I'm going to create a chart based on this data. Okay, so they're wanting to know that shows the percentage of previous learners who are interested versus not interested. Okay, so I'm going to create something showing those who are interested versus not interested. It's part of a whole. So in this instance, I think the easiest is actually going to be to generate a pie chart, because obviously it's looking at the percentage versus those who aren't. So there's my data. Go to insert. here's my pie chart. Which one you insert is entirely up to you. No, let's first do a count. Don't know what I'm doing here. Right, let's have a look. So once again, this data, I'm going to say equals count if, open brackets, this cell range here. I'm going to absolute cell reference it because, or absolute range reference it because I plan to use this again. My criteria, the first one is yes, and I'm going to label it as such, yes, and then I'm going to say no, and then I'm going to autofill this one down, and then I'm just going to change my criteria here to no. Alright, let's try that again. Select that. Now I'm going to insert my chart. Pie chart, boom, there we go, happiness is. You can give it a name if you want. Interested versus not interested. I want to show the percentages, and so if you select this and right click, you can format the data series. I'm going to go to my data, I think what I'm going to do is actually add the data labels, but then I'm going to format them. So instead of showing the value, I'm going to show the percentage, not the value, and I'm going to put that on the outside end. Right, then all that remains to do is actually just select that chart, copy it, and we go to our document where they want the chart, and we're going to paste it. They haven't asked us to object link and embed, but you could. Paste special, paste link, Microsoft Excel chart object, click OK, and then this is actually something that could be updated if the data changes. You can then save and close, and that brings us to the end of question 5.